Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach John over at Dakota Wesleyan. Welcome, Coach.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We're talking August 12th. It's match day one for NCAA Division One. I don't know. So when do have your kids arrived and preseason started yet?
Yeah, we moved in July 31st. Practice started August 3rd.
Okay. And then match day one is when?
So we have a reserve team game this Friday and then top team game this Saturday.
Okay. All right. So we're right around the corner, huh?
Yep.
And then when do classes start?
Classes start August 22nd.
Okay. Yeah, that's well, 24th probably. The 22nd,
Yeah,
yeah.
24th.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah, yeah.
sorry. Yep, yep,
22nd,
yep.
you probably have a game. No,
Correct.
that's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Monday the 24th. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I only know because my daughter's a freshman in college and that's when she starts. So,
Yep. That makes
uh
sense.
yeah, craziness. Well, good stuff and you got them in, you're working hard. So, the one of the questions that I get from our kids, well, okay, well, he's focused on the team and the season at hand. Should I email him about, if I'm a class of 27 person or 28, should I be emailing Coach John over at Dakota Wesleyan? Is he can even answer my emails right now? Like how much time are you guys spending on kind of the recruiting side versus obviously what you got to do for the season?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, recruiting never ends. I think, and that's true from any level all the way to the highest level is every coach is pretty much always recruiting. Yes, my focus right now is on the girls and on the season, but we have a recruit on campus today. And so, it's definitely the answer to that question is definitely email the coach. Um, it, Especially in the women's game, recruiting happens so much earlier that there's all coaches should be recruiting during season, and I definitely am.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And how has kind of this, I mean, the NAIA hasn't adopted the 5 years of eligibility yet, to my knowledge, but I'm guessing you're probably hearing rumblings that it's coming, or how is that gonna,
Yeah,
or do you
everything's
know? I mean,
everything's rumor, of course.
yeah,
We get official emails from the NAIA that say a lot of nothing, but there's lots of rumors, and I think it's if I were a betting man, I bet it's coming down.
yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I'm guessing as well. But you never know. NAIA likes to
Right,
do things differently
right,
sometimes,
right.
but I think that would put them at a disadvantage, which generally they're good about making rules that put them at a little bit of an advantage.
Correct, correct, correct.
So, well, in in terms of your recruiting, like you say you have a reserve, like how many kids are you looking to bring in generally each year? What's that roster size looking like with the reserve team in hand?
Yeah, I like to sit at about 30. And so I know that that seems a little small to have a reserve team, but I always, once conference play rolls around, only about 15 to 16 of my girls are getting quality minutes on the top team. And so I think it's tragic. How are my bottom 15 players supposed to develop as college athletes if they don't get to play in college games? So I schedule them games against JUCO. So I'll play my reserves against the JUCO's top team, and then I'll obviously play reserve games against other universities, any other 4 years reserve teams. So it's just a mechanism for me to develop them mostly. So we sit around 30. That's where I like to be.
That's I mean it's very impressive because most teams a lot of schools, especially NAI schools, the athletic department, the schools say, hey, you need a reserve team, which generally means you're at double what most
Right.
people are, where, you know, NCAA roster or D1 rosters are only at 28. So you're just putting two more and having reserve games. That's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Uh, Well, when you're recruiting, where is it that you like to go? Where are you finding kids? Kind of what's your hot spots when you're out and about?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the long answer to this, which is when I first started here back in 2022, uh, I was everywhere. Pretty much everywhere but South Dakota was what I was looking. This was a losing program for 8 years before me. And so a lot of the local players didn't even consider Dakota Wesleyan as an option. So I was kind of boxed out of the local players. They weren't interested. And so I went everywhere. I mean, I have girls from California, Texas, Arizona, Nebraska, New York, pretty much everywhere, both coasts. And then I have internationals. I had a girl from England. a JUCO transfer center back from England, and I have currently have two French girls on the team, a JUCO transfer and one freshman. Uh, However, what's been very fortunate is we've had a lot of success. We've made playoffs 2 of the last 4 years. We had a winning season last year, first time in a really long time for this program, and so that's helped, restore this program's reputation with local kids. So I have about 15 South Dakota kids on the roster currently, as a result of the last two recruiting classes. So I'm very fortunate that with that we've the girls have done really well on the pitch, which has resulted in me being able to recruit locally successfully.
Okay. Now, are you doing ID camps up there? Are you working other ID camps? Are they part of the process at all?
Yeah, we don't run our own ID camp. Mitchell, South Dakota is the most middle of nowhere you can be. It's tough. It's tough to get kids out for an ID camp, but we do events in Sioux Falls. I go to ID or college showcases whenever I can, and I make it out to a lot of I have a lot of good club connections and high school connections. So I run a couple high school preseasons. I make it out to some high school games as well as club games.
So when you're at any of those games, camps, tournaments, whatever, what is it that you're looking for in a player? Give me that off the field and on the field and off the field stuff.
Yeah, so the two things for me on the field are confidence on the ball and competitive. I think I'm a big believer that good players come in all shapes and sizes. There's good players that are slow, good players that are fast, good players that are tall, good players that are short. I really am not super invested in that side of things. It's really confidence on the ball. Do they want the ball? Wanting the ball, looking confident with the ball at their foot is a non-negotiable for me. And so that's the primary thing is I'm looking at the players who in the game are trying to get on the ball, and when they are on the ball are confident. And then competitiveness. I love when girls are intense. I think there's a stigma sometimes within the female athletes where maybe it's not cool to be intense. But the I love when players are intense. I love when they're physical. I love when they compete at practice. I love when they hate losing, and I love when they are intense in games. So those are the two things for me on the pitch: is competitiveness and confidence on the ball.
Okay.
Off the pitch, team culture is a really big thing for me. Some of my girls say I have a big personality, and so if a girl is kind of turned off by my big personality, then it's kind of uh, indicator to me that she's not going to fit in our team culture. And so I'm kind of goofy and fun, and as a result, players reflect the coach's attitude. My girls are goofy and fun, so that's what I'm looking for. Are you fun to be around? Are you a good person? Are you easygoing? Because if that's the case, then you're going to fit in our team culture.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fair. Well, let's talk a little bit about the school. Like you kind of told us where it's at, but there's got to be some things you truly enjoy about it. You've been there for a few years now. So tell us some things, maybe some stuff we wouldn't even know by going through the website.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I did say it's the middle of nowhere, which I don't ever try to hide that. But it is a great place. I mean, the entire town, about 15,000 people in Mitchell, South Dakota. But the entire town kind of revolves around the university. So if you play a sport here, uh, everyone knows you. Little old ladies at the grocery store will say hi to you if you're an athlete. The facilities are amazing. We have a massive grass complex where we have access to four pitches, one game pitch, and three training pitches. We have our own locker rooms out there, so we're very fortunate for that. We have an amazing indoor field house where we have like four futsal courts. So they're basketball courts, but they're painted with keeper creases so we can set up for futsal. So we do a ton of that in the winter. Amazing lifting facilities. So the university also has amazing academic programs. I'm very fortunate. We are the number one nursing school in South Dakota. So we just had 100% NCLEX pass rate. That's the nursing boards, and 100% job rate for this last class. So that should vault us from number two in the state to number one for nursing schools, which obviously for women, female athletes, that's an amazing boon. We have a master's in athletic training program, five and done, which is a really big deal. And then we are the number one education program in the state as well. We actually have the local public elementary school is physically located on our campus, which at first seems kind of goofy because it's a college campus. Then all of a sudden there's like a playground and kids. But it's really cool because the education majors, some of them get to do their student teaching right on campus. They literally roll out of bed, walk 100 yards, and they're at their student teaching. So,
Wow, that is amazing.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's a huh, very cool. Well, one of the hard things for student athletes can be, especially new freshmen coming in, is just really balancing the demands of both the academic side and the athletic side. What kind of support systems does a school have to try to ensure that, your players are successful in the classroom as well as on the field?
Yeah, I'll start with nursing. We are very, very fortunate that we're one of the very few schools in the entire nation that allow nursing majors to play their sport all 4 years and be a nursing major. Most schools, even other schools in our conference, a lot of the NSIC D2 schools in the area will kick their nursing majors off the team their junior or senior year. But we have agreements with labs, clinics, hospitals in the area so that we make sure that these nursing students can get their clinical hours that they need and still play their sport, which is huge because now instead of having nursing majors for 2 to 3 years, we have them for 4. So that's to me just a glimpse into what the school is willing to do to support student athletes. We have free tutoring for everybody on campus, both generic tutoring and specific to classes. And then the professors for the overwhelming majority are really, really flexible in terms of letting students make up quizzes, tests, homework when they miss for away games. And that kind of all results in a really, really good student athlete experience. As part of the women's soccer program, we do study tables for incoming freshmen as well as regular grade checks. So that's not campus wide, that's us. But I think that's pretty typical of the student athlete experience. So they're very, very well supported here. Team GPA is never an issue for us.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it. Well, let's fast forward to October. Obviously, your schedule right now is different because you're not in class and games haven't started yet. But let's say you're in the heart of that GPAC schedule. Walk me through what's a typical week look like? What time are you training? What are classes, meals, game cadence, all that kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're like a Monday, girls get up, they have breakfast, classes, lunch, classes, and then practice 4 to 6 p.m. I always try to sprinkle in one classroom, at least one classroom or film per week. So there might be a day where we go practice and then the girls go to dinner and then film or classroom afterward. And then I try to do a team bonding about once every other week. So, that could fall on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday because we play Wednesday, Saturdays. But we're doing at least one film classroom per week in addition to practice, and then at least one team bonding about every other week. So games are Wednesday, Saturdays for GPAC. Um, Always have Sundays off, and then sometimes we take Thursdays off if we play like a Hastings and it's a physically brutal game. Sometimes we got to take the day off afterward just to survive. But yeah, so I mean, it's a class training 4 to 6 p.m. Sprinkle in a classroom film about once a week, and then just the missing classes for away games. Get on a bus, go to an away game. That's kind of the typical cadence of a student athlete.
So being where you guys are, what is your normal travel routine for
Yeah,
matches and
we're
stuff?
we're I think because Jamestown left our conference, I think we're currently the furthest north in the GPAC. And so we actually don't have any mandatory overnights in GPAC, which is nice. Furthest we go is 4.5 hours to Hastings. So we try to do that in a day. We'll leave early morning on a Wednesday or Saturday, travel down, men play, women play, or vice versa, depending on the year. And then we're getting back pretty late in the night usually. We're usually getting back around 2 3 a.m. But at least it's not an overnight and missing 2 classes, 2 days of classes. So
Yeah, no, that's not as bad as I thought it might be. All right. Well, we talked about the roster size, talked about the rest of the roster, what coaching staff, athletic department staff, who's there helping, what role does everybody play there?
yeah, yeah, I'm very fortunate. We have a full-time assistant that we share between the men and women's program, and he's our goalkeeper coach. So there's obviously head men's coach, me head women's coach, and then we share a full-time assistant who works with our keepers and obviously helps us and everything. But he's primarily working with the keepers, and then we have two GAs for the women's. So we have Jordan Vargas and Garrett Hanna. Garrett Hanna's a former men's player here at Dakota Wesleyan, and now he's my GA. So two GAs, full-time assistant that we share with the men and me. In my opinion, it's a robust staff. I feel very fortunate. We have full-time strength and conditioning, full-time athletic training assigned to us, full-time athletic trainer. So yeah, we're very fortunate here.
Okay, great. Well, talk to us about you. What's your coaching style like besides that big personality? X's and O's here. How do you guys like to play?
Yeah, we like to keep the ball, and I know it's becoming very trendy nowadays to say oh, we play possession, we keep the ball. But I think when you actually sit down and watch college film, the overwhelming majority of teams play very direct. It's safe and easy, kick it to your fast kids, and we are absolutely not like that. I make a goal compilation every year where I take all the goals we scored the year before, clip them into a little compilation, and it's such a great reminder to me of how beautifully we play. I would say about half of our goals started at our keeper's feet, or our keeper had the ball at some point in the build-up. Super patient. We possess at every practice. I hate passing patterns and I hate dribbling through cones. I believe we don't play against cones, so why would we train against cones? All my trainings start with small-sided rondos, moving rondos, positional games, possessional games, small-sided games, big-sided games. I believe that to get most from a training, you should have a ball, teammates, and opposition, and all my drills reflect that. So I really hammer in the girls to view mistakes as opportunities to learn. I think one of the common things I hear from my players is, "Oh, I get in my head," or "I'm in my head about it." And I think one of my roles is to constantly reset the girls back on viewing mistakes as opportunities to learn. Every time you take a bad touch, every time you make a bad decision, it's an opportunity to get better. And that's really how I try to refocus them. And as much as it hurts me, that includes in games. If you make a terrible mistake in a game and we concede a goal that costs us the game, it sucks that we lost that game, but the silver lining is that it's likely you're probably never going to make that mistake again. And so that's my coaching style is I hammer the girls on possession, keeping the ball, viewing the ball as a mechanism to move the opposition, viewing mistakes as opportunities to learn. And I cannot state enough how much I hate passing patterns and dribbling through cones. We play, play, play.
All right, love it. Well, in terms of, you know, we've talked a lot about the fall, the big part of the season, but let's talk about the spring. What are you guys doing in that non-traditional quote unquote off season?
Yeah, a former coaching colleague of mine once said he was a college coach. He said that the spring is the only time you can actually coach your players. And I kind of chuckled when he said that, and I've it's nothing's been more true. You spend most of the fall more or less just getting through it, putting out fires. You have to deal with the next team that you're playing. You have to deal with their tactics. You have to prepare for that. You're dealing with injuries because of how rigorous college soccer is. You're filling in holes. Maybe you're not starting your best player here and there. And as a result, you don't get to invest into your players the way you need to. If you truly are, a coach who wants to develop players and have a robust, healthy roster who's going to, where if you lose a starting center back, your second string center back can fill in without much drop in level. And the only way to do that is to train them through winter and spring. So we have our down period where I'm not allowed contact with them runs from, end of playoffs to about late January. Our captains have a really cool tradition where they run captain-led futsal during that time. So about once a week, without me involved, my captains have like pickup futsal going on. And then there's a lift twice a week that is mandatory because I'm allowed to make that mandatory. So lifting twice a week from end of playoffs to mid January. Captains running futsal once a week. Then once late January runs around and we're in our 12-week period. Um, then we're doing futsal probably 3 to 4 times a week until the snow melts. I mean, I'm saying futsal, and I think the understanding is that there's about 2 feet of snow on the ground in South Dakota from November until early March. So we're playing a ton of futsal. Like I said, we're fortunate to have that facility. Lifting twice a week, futsal 3 to 4 times a week, classroom reviewing film from the season before for about once a week. That's what it looks like until the snow melts in March. Then we're outside March through May. 3 to 4 times per week training, usually like 4 to 5:30 p.m. With one film session a week again, and then we always have the 3 or 4 spring scrimmages. So
Okay. Awesome. Well, you've given us some really good insight. Going to leave you with one last question, and that is if you had one piece of advice for anybody going through this recruiting process right now, what would that be?
find the right fit. Focus on the right fit. Don't chase levels. I was a JUCO coach before this, and the number of my players who transfer part of my job as a JUCO coach was to help them find a 4 year to finish playing, and the girls who were chasing level, without exception, went on to have a terrible time, whereas the girls who found the right fit for them, coach that cared about them, invested in them, had the academics, had the finances. Those were the girls who were fulfilled and had successful careers. So, if D1 is the right fit, that's amazing. If D2 is the right fit, that's amazing. If NAIA D3 is the right fit, that's amazing. If JUCO is the right fit, that's amazing. The reality is 7% of youth athletes go on to play soccer in college. 2% do it on any amount of scholarship. So it's an amazing feat, and focus on the fit, not the level.
Couldn't agree more. Well, Coach, wish you the best of luck this season. Hopefully, you're hanging that GPAC banner when it's all said and done, and
That's the hope.
we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you.
Yeah.